I'm Suchetna, and I'll be taking you through this session. This session will discuss life, work, and art of a singer who needs no introduction, yet something must always be said to remind us of the magnitude of change that she encapsulates in her being. A woman who single-handedly taught India how to sing the blues in a Kanjivan. We welcome the ever beautiful Usha Uthup to the Symbiosis Literary Festival and the translator of her biography, Ms. Srishti Jha. Ms. Jha is a writer, editor, and journalist. She has worked in the media for the past 12 years with publications like Hindustan Times, India Today, among others. Srishti's first translation work, The Queen of Indian Pop, the authorized biography of Usha Uthup, originally written in Hindi by author and senior journalist Vikas Kumar, was published by Penguin India in 2022. Unfortunately, Mr. Jha won't be able to join us for the Lit Fest. Srishti is currently working on her first novel, a poetry collection, and a screenplay. I really do not want to keep you all waiting, so I hand it over to Srishti to begin the conversation.
Hi, Suchetna. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. And of course, like words are not enough to describe the Queen of Indian Pop. So yeah, let's just begin. Hello, Didi.
Hi, namaskar, namaskaram, sat sri akal, salam alaikum. Srishti, you're looking marvelous, like $1,000,000, as
So
always.
are you?
And also, Suchetna, it's so lovely to have three women on the same panel, right? And it's just great that Symbiosis, I mean, for me, is such a powerful institution, really. And their liberal arts department, especially for them to have a literary fest and include you and me. You, of course, because you've written the whole thing. Of course, they would include you. But it's just fantastic that it's worked out and we meet on a platform like this. Thank you, Suchetna.
All right. So let's just, it's like begin the conversation, around the book, around the enigma that Usha Uthup is. So, Usha ji, it's been almost close to 2 years since this book came out. How this book and how the journey that is mentioned in the book, now it's out in the world, people are reading about your life, people are reading about your childhood, your, it's like young days and how it all began for you. So how do you feel now, like after like your biography is out there in the world, how your life has changed after that?
Srishti, for me, I mean, I'm really sad that Vikas ji is not on this panel as well, because he would have talked us all out without having anything for us to say, because he is so amazingly, what shall I say, good with his language. And for everybody in Symbiosis, I'd like for everyone to know that actually it was he who wrote the first one. And, imagine you keep saying Queen of Indian Pop, or they say you sing the blues, you sing jazz, you sing folk, but then you expect that the first copy or first written thing would be done in English by you. And this time, I have to say with so much of pride and so much of happiness that it was actually done in Hindi. For me, that's such a big thing and such a huge takeaway. I keep saying that all the time because the truth really never changes. And it's so marvelous to be able to tell the whole world that, yes, for the first time, I can really say that something that I've fought for so many years, that there is no language barrier, caste, color, creed, language, gender, age, sex, nothing. And I think Ullas Ki Now, which was written by Vikas Kumar, is actually the biggest, the biggest gift that I could ever talk about, because it's been done in Hindi. And Hindi, not the way you and I know, for heaven's sake. I mean, it took me such a long time to really understand that, the intricacies of how different a language really is. And for him, everything is so ornamental, bejeweled, I would say, really. I mean, every sentence, you and I would probably say the sentence in Hindi quite differently. And the way he would say it would be so different. And yet, have that much more impact, obviously. So for me, it's a great thing that it was written in Hindi. The name of the book, Ullas Ki Nao. In fact, I felt that the entire Hindi belt, who knew about me because I'd done lots of shows in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Bihar, and that entire Hindi belt, okay, so to speak. And then when people started asking me, how come it happened in Hindi? And when I told them the actual truth, that it was actually supposed to be just an interview. And who ever thought that it would become a biography like this? Because he has a way of gaining your trust, As a writer, that is so important for somebody. And when he achieved that, and then he was able to get into the nooks and crannies of my brain and my entire being, and get all the things out which happened in my childhood and right through the journey. And when it came out in Hindi, it was all so beautiful. So when you ask how did it change, I think most importantly it changed me as a person. It changed me. And every now and then I would say, अभी इसको लेके क्या बैठ के क्या करेंगे? क्या इतने अच्छे लिख दिए हमने अभी. What about the future? I mean, what about my day-to-day things? कैसे लिखेंगे? कैसे करेंगे? How are we going to go from that date where the book was finished to the next date that God has given me that many days to live or whatever? And you think, हो जाएगा, सब हो जाएगा. And, you know, how has it changed me as a person? It's given me a new dimension because I do believe that when you get written about in another language, I think, and that too, Hindi, I think it gives you a different kind of perspective. So more than my life changing vis-a-vis the world, it has changed me as a person. It has really changed me as a person. Like I have, excuse me, I've started learning how to form sentences in Hindi. Can you imagine? I mean, I remember so clearly in school, Mr. Kalra, who used to teach me Hindi, and he always said I was a good student, and so does Vikas ji. I'm sure Suchitna knows by now that he's your father, and a proud one at that. So when I used to tell him about Hindi, and he used to say, for a South Indian girl, you speak very good Hindi and Urdu.
Yes, you do. You do.
And so when he said that, for me, that was the biggest compliment. और हम लोग बैठते थे वहाँ पे eating either masala dosa or coffee, and he would ask me questions. And he had this notebook. The first time I asked him, I said, "Do you want a recording? Do you want to record the whole thing? Because I talk so fast, and my thoughts formulate so fast." He said, "नहीं नहीं, ये हमारा pen जो है, that's the most powerful."
Right.
And then he showed me his notebook with lines on it. Can you imagine? I mean, with no lines on it. And all the lines that he wrote kept writing from down to up. You know what I mean? That way. And I realized that that was the way much of my writing also goes. And to find out that he would write so quickly changed my whole concept of what Hindi is really. And I learned such a lot because of that. I don't think many people realize that even. I don't think even he realizes that what a great change it has brought about in me to see certain things written about me in Hindi, which is so chaste. And actually, it is, what shall I say, sacrosanct, for anybody to, when they read it. So then when the thing about getting it translated came, and I wondered who and how is this ever going to happen? Because when you see some kind of something that is like cut glass or really beautiful diamonds, how is it going to really fit in? And there comes Srishti Jha. Suchitna, I want you to hear this, and I want everybody else to hear it as well. It's got really nothing to do with age, really. That you've got to be, I'm a very old soul, really. I do believe I've lived so many janams before, which is why the connection is so strong. Lekin, I tell you, all the young writers who are listening into this, I'd like to say that Srishti actually will prove to you that it's got nothing to do with age, really. Many people may say, how can such a young girl write a book which has been written by somebody like Vikas ji ko? It's impossible. And when I started reading a certain passages, I realized that maybe sometimes the English reader would be more impressed, because to read and assimilate the Hindi will take that much more time, like it does, if you think in a particular language and you read that language. So I want all the kids, all the youngsters, especially for the students from the liberal arts, to know that Srishti has really gone above, or shall I say, broken the barrier as far as age is concerned. This thing that, you've got to be, say 50 plus or 60 so or 70 so to write really good passages of good English, or got good anything. And I want all of you to know that if you really put your mind to it, I think you can really do it. And for me, when I walk by a bookstore, either in the airports or anywhere else, I feel embarrassed when I see the Queen of Indian Pop. Ooh, it sounds so amazingly gorgeous, actually. And sometimes I feel, is it too pompous? And then I look back at myself and I said, no, actually, there was nobody else at that time when I started singing. And you've encaptured that so beautifully in the book. So I keep repeatedly saying to kids today, I know that basically everybody's age is, I mean, in the media especially, is, the average age is 22 and nothing more than that. And when you see the Queen of Indian Pop or the Authorized biography, you would imagine that Srishti Jha, with the bun and one sari, and that typical, what shall I say, buddhijeevi type of person who's going to be. And then you come across someone like Srishti Jha. It's just fantastic to see that Srishti is so young, and she's which she's living in today's world. Now is the space, and I think that is so important. So that has changed me as well. It has changed me as well, because it has brought me in touch with somebody who is, I mean, so young, so young. And so, what has it got to do with age? It's just got to do with your heart and with your brain and the way you are with words. And I think for me, that is the most important thing about the Queen of Indian Pop. I think the two language, more than just being a biography, I think it's the mingling of ages, of generations, and bringing out the things which were there in my life, which are there in my life, which I've never ever spoken about.
Also, of
And
all
so,
the cities that you lived in, it also encapsulates the history of, be it Chennai, be it Calcutta, be it Cochin. So, it's like all the places that you lived, like you've been addressed as the sea woman in the book, Samudra Stri. So then, sort of like it got me thinking, and it's all about like all these places with a coastal sort of a, thing, like you always lived closer to the sea. And it's like the writer has kind of compared you to the sea as to, in terms of the depth, in terms of the magnanimity, in terms of the aura, in terms of the strength and depth. So yeah, so that was also going to be one of the questions, but let's talk about that right now. So how do you see yourself as, it's like as the sea woman, like what is your relationship with the sea?
um, I must, for everybody who's listening, I mean, the way Srishti said it, and of course, it's Vikasji who said it first, Samudra Stri. I mean, the whole thing it just conjures up such fantastic images, isn't it? Such beautiful images of the sea, and the sound and the sand and the coconut palms and the silence and the space. The fact is that I love the sea just to be far away from it. I'm scared. I'm petrified of water. Can you imagine? Of course, I said this to your dad as well during the interviews, that मैं बहुत डरती हूँ. And then because we had already been talking so much, he said, "आप किस चीज से नहीं डरते हैं वो बताइए मुझे." Because I'm scared of darkness, I'm scared of flying, I'm scared of heights, I'm scared of this, I'm scared of that, I'm scared of the water. And he said that is really strange because you've lived every time near the water, and you truly represent the depth, as you said, all those beautiful words. It's so true, this depth and the strength. But what really touches me about the sea is the sound and the space, and that what is there beyond that horizon. It's just so beautiful. And I guess that is really one of the things that gave me an insight into myself when your father wrote in the book, in the Hindi book, that, she's really, a daughter of the sea, and, that I'm so attached to the sea. And that is so true. But for somebody who is so scared of water, so utterly scared, to think that God would place me in Bombay and then Cochin and then Calcutta, everywhere there's water. So I guess that's been really, what shall I say, something which is very contrapuntal, I would say. You say one, I mean, you say one thing, but actually it's quite different. And, for me, it was like that. So it's the strength that one gets when one is near the sea is apar, really unbelievable. But also, it makes you feel truly how small you are and what a drop in the ocean you are. But every drop makes an ocean. And
Counts.
without that one drop, it wouldn't happen. So when I said to your dad that, it's up to us कि हम कैसे देखते हैं glass को, आधा खाली या आधा भरा. And that's so true, whether it's full of, half full of water or half empty. And I think when you see that you are so minuscule compared to the vastness of the sea, it gives you an insight into life again. And so that maybe one or two sentences like this, which he brought about, changed. I started looking at life in a different perspective, though it was there inside me, but it needed somebody to take it out.
Yeah.
To take it out and say, okay, this is it, and then you start thinking about it, which is why I feel that having been written in Hindi and then getting the wonderful translation that you've done. I mean, there are so many people who've told me that they haven't looked for the picture behind of you, and they're reading it. In fact, a friend of mine in the, I hope she's on the show somewhere, in US. I went to do the American Literary Festival gala where I sang. One of the people gave me the book. Can you imagine? Not the publisher, not anybody else. They gave me the book and they said, we've just got to meet. They weren't bothered that I was there. They wanted my autograph and they wanted to know who this girl was who was writing. So it gave me one more chance to say it's got nothing to do with age. When you see her, you'll see how beautiful she is and how young she is. And she's lived life. So, I think it all sums up, it all gets together, and the consummate effect is the fact that it has actually, the book hasn't changed my life, but it's changed my perspective. It's changed how I look at life. And the things that I probably said, just like as an interview, like making manja or, things like that, which you've written so beautifully
Or
in.
sitting on the guava tree and reading your comics as a little girl.
Yeah.
Like, I've actually loved sitting in a room while I was translating, and I just couldn't stop. Like, it was just so much joy that I felt. I was imagining a little Usha just, kind of climbing up the guava tree in the courtyard at
Yes.
Meherville, and she's reading her comics.
Can
So,
you
yeah, there
imagine?
are like many such instances in the book, which will, it's like get people, the audiences, your fans, a bit closer to you. They will get
Yes.
a, sort of like a closer look at your life.
And a
And
look at my life, which they probably would have never known because
yes,
I never talk about it.
you never speak about it. You have never
No.
spoken about the journey. You have always spoken about your music, the craft.
Mhm.
So, like speaking of fears and, it's like breaking barriers, you are somebody, who might be afraid of something, but you always go ahead and do it. Like
Yes,
how
yes.
your music career began. like you didn't have like a conventional voice, or you must have, I mean, like, I'm sure you have faced a lot of, obstacles in your entire journey, but you always kind of like you were like, okay, fine, I'll just kind of do it. It was not like something, out of some kind of, just an ego thing. Like, it was something that
No,
you weren't really proving it to the world. You were proving it to yourself and to all
absolutely.
kinds of people who have all kinds of skills and craft, and everybody's special in their way. So yeah,
Correct.
you are somebody who's been breaking barriers her entire life. You can be afraid of a lot of things, but you always kind of like, you're closer to things that you're afraid of.
Absolutely.
You're
Absolutely.
closer to things you're afraid of. It's a very deep thing, and yeah, I wanted to talk about that with you. And I want, it's like the listeners and your fans to know that even if you're afraid of something, you can still be close to it, because it cannot keep you away from your dreams and ambitions. So yeah.
Absolutely. One of them is one of the deep things is my fear of flying. And there's no way that I can get to point B. I can't go to Pune without having to take a plane, because for want of time and also security and things like that. So there would have been probably a time when I would have just hopped a train and gone, but it's not possible for now to do that. So if I have to fly, I mean, if I want to go to Pune or if I want to go to Bombay, there is really no other way except to face your fear face head on. And if you don't do that, then you're never ever gonna even get near your dreams being fulfilled. So there are so many things that I am scared of, but I do it anyway. I do it anyway because there is no other way. And I think if you really care, or if you really want to do something, and if you really believe in it, I think you will get over your fear. You will. God helps you to get there. If He's given you that fear, you can be 100% sure He'll give you a way, only you have to work at it. You have to really, really work at it. The things that you're really scared of, like I know my daughter keeps telling me that, Amma, you have to take a stand. You have to. I know, and I know that you would believe in that, and you would agree with that as well. One has to take a stand at some time or the other, even if it has different kind of repercussions. You have to face those things. And in some strange way, it seeps into your being and into your thinking, and into your psyche, if you are willing to learn. The main thing is to want to learn. And if you want to learn, there's no other way except to face it head on. So there are many things that I'm scared of. One thing, of course, luckily, I don't have to face it, is the fear of getting allergies. Okay, because I'm really the queen of allergies as well, besides being the queen of Indian pop. I mean, my musicians all call me, the queen of allergies, because every little thing, like dust, I'm allergic to. But that doesn't mean I just have to go and face dust all the time. And, there are certain things where you draw the line, where you know it's not going to work out for you. And I don't need to. I don't need to get into that dust situation. I don't need to get into the pollution situation, because I know I can avoid it. I know I can get right into it if I wear a mask. I know that I can do a lot of things if I use just a little bit of thinking and say, how badly do you want to go to point B? And if you really want to get there, you will find a way. So that doesn't mean I'm going to eat mushrooms because I'm really, really allergic to mushrooms. Doesn't mean I have to go and eat it to show you that, to
Point.
prove
Yeah.
it.
Just, yeah.
It's,
Yeah. It's
it's
just
ridiculous.
overcoming a thing. Yeah. You don't really have to go and kind of, throw yourself into a situation where you don't want
Exactly.
to be. So yeah. Yeah. So
So I
also,
think it's important, the fear and what you're scared of sometimes is actually, as Rumi would say,
mm,
that is the path.
yeah.
What you're scared of is the
Read of,
path.
yeah, yeah, that's your part. So also
Mm.
in your music career, it's like when you were starting, um, I'm sure you must be having a lot of thoughts, and like how this industry is, and you started singing at a very young age, and of course you faced a lot of things like that. You had a certain kind of voice. It had a like it was a heavy tone, and everything. So it's like when you were young, because when we are young, we are trying to find our paths, and we get intimidated easily, And it's like we kind of like get a bit kind of it's like distracted from the goals in the bigger picture. So I wanted to know what really kept you going. I'm sure you must have faced all kinds of things when you were starting. So yeah, and you never stopped. So yeah, it's like, what was it that really kept you going, sort of like towards music, into music? And
Srishti, I think more than anything else, I got to knowing very, very early in life, say almost in my first show, that the gargarahat of the applause is what really made me feel fantastic. I mean, I don't know how many people or how many singers would like to admit that, they some of them would say they only sing for themselves and for their inner peace. And I don't believe in that. I'm just singing because I want to spread the happiness, and I want to be remembered for as a person who brought a smile onto somebody's face. And I have no other higher, goals in life. I just want that, I'm able to spread the happiness. And so when it sounds so simplistic, but actually it's a lot of hard work, a lot of hard work. And when I realized that people liked my presentation of the way I sang, just the way I am, wearing a sari, and the middle class look, or the scrubbed look that girl next door has. I mean, that's the kind of image that I ever had. And I think the way the women reacted to me, and the way finally families reacted to me, was so different, and was so full of acceptance, that I really didn't have a hard luck story to give people, like, hi, itna struggle kiya maine, and this and that. So I would say I was really lucky as well, very lucky, that I came on at a time when it was the prerogative of, only the kind of look that you would have if you someone like you, yeah, the wearing those kind of zappy clothes and things like that. And there I was, very simple, and the kind of look that I had, and I was singing their kind of song. And so I think I realized very early in life that love is what really made my life go round. And that's all I want. That's all I want, is to be able to put aside certain problems, or maybe some people would say in those days that I was playing to the gallery, but I am, because the gallery is what made me, actually. And so if I sang a song which they wanted, I sang it. And when I heard the applause and the reaction, that made me, that's what makes me carry on, really. As I always say, the song is much bigger than the singer. And in those days when we started, none of the music was called mixed, remixed, or it wasn't called, we just did versions or interpretations of what, I mean, otherwise, just imagine Rabindra Sangeet, there are thousands of millions of artists who are singing the same song. Or any Meera bhajan, how many singers are singing the same bhajan or the same ghazal, but nobody says it's a remix. Most people don't even think about it. I mean, if Jagjit Singh Ji has sung one bhajan, and Pandit Jasraj has sung the same bhajan, it doesn't matter. It really didn't matter if 10 people sang Chupke Chupke. Each one has a different way of doing it, and so that's okay. That's okay as far as I'm concerned. At that time I was only doing all the songs that I knew, that I had heard on the radio. So I didn't have any original song, and every singer doesn't have an original song to sing. You're always singing somebody else's song. And at that moment, if there are people who love the song and they clap for it, that means there is a certain recall value that the audience has. And so that is what made me realize that I'm not looking for great things. I think what what thing could be greater than getting love from the audience? That was the greatest for me.
I've experienced that love. It's like as we traveled at these different,
Yeah,
like festivals, and I in particular remember, it's like the Kerala, it's like literature festival. We were there, and it was happening on the beach, and
that's
our
right.
session was done, and I got off the stage, and there were like thousands of people who had come, and I
Oh,
just
yes, you
stepped
remember
out,
that
have a
one.
sip of water, and I could feel the ground shaking as you performed and as they danced, across ages. The kids are dancing, young women are dancing, old women are dancing, old men are dancing, young men are dancing. Like everybody had it. So you are somebody who has a fan following across 5 generations. You know, like if you it's like if I'm talking to a family, it's like the kid is also a fan, the mother is also a fan, the grandmother is also a fan. Like the
Yes,
same happened with my family. Like my father was your fan, my grandmother was your fan, my mom was your fan, I was your fan. So it's just something,
yes,
it's like how you connect generations. I feel art, and especially music, it's something that kind of like binds us together, without doing
absolutely,
much. There's just this song that plays,
absolutely.
everybody comes together, and it creates a sense of unity,
Yes,
that one
that
is
is
really
the
trying
most
for.
important thing.
That is, yeah, no one is trying for that. The other
No.
day, I was at a bookstore, and so the book was there, and I saw these guys talking about it. And it's like the younger one, like he knew a few, he's heard your songs, but the other guy was a little older. He was a huge fan. So like I was just overhearing the conversation. I just
Yes.
wanted to hear what are they talking about. So he just went like, I had gone for this event, and like the entire crowd was dancing, like with like absolute sort of joy and madness. And then I just kind of like walked ahead, and I just wanted to see who's the performer and who's making it all happen. There was this woman in her gajra, in her kanjivaram sari. She's holding a mic with the edge of her archer thing wrapped around her mic. That's your style. And she was the one who was making it all happen.
Yes,
So it's like, this is the kind of love, this is the kind of acceptance is what your music has earned. Because of course, like, you are an amazing singer, but like the way you styled yourself, you weren't really trying to be something. You were yourself, and you were
that's it.
singing these English songs. And sort of like absolutely traditionally clad woman with her gajra, with her bindi, with her it's like kanjivaram saris. So you also impacted a lot of Indian women as to just kind of embrace who they are, because you're somebody
Most
who thinks that
important.
modernity is here. It's not here. It's not
No.
about how you dress or how cool you want to look. You have to be that over here. And I also felt that from you, and I feel really inspired that you don't really have to be something to be something.
Yeah,
You
and
can
also in
do
our
whatever you want to.
fraternity,
Yeah,
in our fraternity, Srishti, I've noticed that the more original you are, the better for you.
yeah.
I mean, things take a little bit of time to work themselves out, but our business is really cutthroat business, cutthroat. And there are, luckily for me, I was never in that rat race of being wanting to be getting more and more playback music, because I started off as a performer and I was doing nightclub music and stage shows. So when I got a chance to sing in the Hindi films or Tamil or whatever, it was a bonus for me. I was really happy, even though it was most of all, either an item song or a title song, or even I've even sung for a man, and that's of course Mithun Chakravarti. So I mean, it's been different. It's been different, and I've never been a frustrated person really, that I didn't get enough chances because my voice was so different or anything. But rather, I changed that limitation into a strength, and so I remained who I am and just original. And if I got one or two songs less, it doesn't matter, because it's okay. It's okay. बहुत सारी films किए, उसमें से shall I say 85% were flops, सारे flop हुए, लेकिन
The songs are
गाने बहुत hit हुए.
iconic songs.
Yes,
Music till date, a lot of people believe that Dam Maro Dam is actually sung by you.
I
People
know.
just kind of believe it, you know?
And I don't care now to even clarify it, because it's
Yeah,
too cumbersome to have to explain everything to everybody. But it's okay. It's okay. Dane
yeah,
dane pe likha hai khane wale ka naam, and gane gane pe likha hai gane wale ka naam.
absolutely.
Right.
Um, so, you have seen, like our industry, like it's like the Bollywood industry, Indian cinema, how it kind of, sort of like went from strength to strength, how how the musical traditions kind of came into the system, and there were all kinds of singers. And you are from a certain generation where, it's like things worked a certain way, and there was a lot of personal quotient to it. So, so now when you look at the current generation, and, it's like the new age musicians and singers, uh, what is that one thing that you really miss in, sort of like in like today's times that your generation had, but they don't have it anymore? It could just be anything. So yeah, what
Yeah,
is
I think really, I think today's music is really fantastic. We have some marvelous music directors, some even better lyricists, and the singers are just unbelievable. I mean, people like Shreya Ghoshal and Sunidhi Chauhan and Arijit Singh and Sonu Nigam. You name them. I mean, Hariharan, Shankar Mahadevan. They're just fantastic singers now. But I would say the changes would be more cosmetic than anything else. And I would definitely say that our recording times, the analog uh, recording vis-a-vis the digital, digital is so perfect. You can get every word just perfect. It would be, just on sur, on tal, no matter what, because they have gadgets to do all that, right? But the warmth, I would just say only one word. It's the warmth of the analog recording that is missing in the digital. Digital is so perfect. It's like, beautiful porcelain.
perfect?
Yeah.
It's like those beautiful imperfections are missing. Yeah.
You need a little bit of imperfection here and there. And I think that was there. I mean, the warmth of the recording uh, in those days was really just unbelievable. But I mean, the perfection of today and the ease in which the singers just walk into the studio and do one line and say, "Do din ke baad aata hu, kyunki time nahi hai," and they finish the song, and or they will put one word and they'll probably listen to it later and say, "Oh, ek word tha, humko acha nahi laga. I want to change that word," and say, "Come back and change one word or do one sentence like that." I really am at a loss for doing that because I need to get my teeth into the whole song and the expression and be able to really do it like that. And so for that, I can't do piece by piece. But then in Bombay or anywhere else, I mean, where the industry is really big, I won't blame the singers because nowadays there's no time. There's no time to really sit and think and rehearse and figure out how to do the whole thing. It's just one song written in front of you, and you just go and sing it. And so I think
It's
that
more
is.
about doing the publicity of the song and campaigns
Oh
and stuff.
God, you tell
I
me
guess
about
I
it.
guess the attention from the craft has kind of shifted, sort of like more in terms of like how to sell it more,
To
how to
sell
how
it.
to make it big.
Nowadays, you don't have to listen to a song. You have to see it. You have to see the song, and that's what is more important.
Glamour part
And
of things.
yes, and I really can't. I really don't know how to do all that, like Instagram and Facebook, and
You need
it's
to.
just not in me. I don't know how to do tweeting and all that. But it maybe that's the reason why my being around for 54 years, I mean, so many things have taken so much of time because वहां पहुंचना काफी आसान है लेकिन वहां टिके रहना is more difficult. And I think to टिके रहो you have to be completely relevant all the time. And so that's what I'm working at, how to be relevant with a song that I have sung. That's a real challenge. If I've sung, say, Kali teri gut te paranda tera lal ni, every day, I mean, I've sung it millions of times. But if I have to sing that song, I have to figure out some way that I can make it relevant even today.
Yeah.
And so I'm always working on that. I mean, that is my riyaz, actually.
No,
I'm
because
not.
like, I mean, honestly, you're the youngest person I know. Like you are just so full of joy. Like you want to just kind of say do like fun things. Like you want
Yes,
to have a good time. You keep
yes.
yourself happy, and you don't depend on anybody else to actually bring that happess to you. So
It's
I've
very important.
experienced it firsthand. So so that's why I'm saying that you are the youngest person I know, like
That's so
extremely
sweet.
young at heart. And so that's why you have been an sort of like an enigma across 5 generations, because how come 5 different generations relate to you and they love your music. It's like be it a dam maro dam, or be it shan se, it's like all these or be it ramba ho.
I know.
Anytime ramba ho is mentioned, I've seen,
It's just
it's like people
crazy.
from different age groups. Oh wow, oh I love that song or whatever, because Rama was
Everybody's,
still
yeah.
so relevant, or a
It's
Damarodam
just
is so relevant.
incredible the way people still love that song. It's really
Yeah,
crazy. But I'll tell you something. Even if you have to recycle and reinvent yourself,
yeah.
and reinvent yourself along with the song. In any case, I know that I'm never ever going to be able to sing like Lataji Mangeshkar, but I do know that my audience will love her songs anyway. So I try and pick up the songs that I know that she would probably have sung, so many years earlier, and the situation in the film would have been different. But I sing it with a totally different twist. Like if I had to say, when I say that this is a totally woman song, and I'm singing it, and it's such a jealous song, अजीब दासी किसी का प्यार लेके तुम नया जहां बसाओगे. It has a totally different
It's a mood.
outlook if you can
It's an
sing that,
emotion.
and
Yeah.
all the kids just love it. They just love it because I'm talking their language. You have to be able to relate to the audience that you're talking to or singing to, and I think that's what makes.
Adapting to
Yes.
changing patterns and traditions.
How
Yeah.
can how can anybody ever want to, or even try to sing a song? But for me, supposing I was singing, there are many parents have come up to me and said, you sang that song. Now my children are thinking, rethinking that, should we ask our parents permission? जब प्यार किया तो डरना क्या. And they say that I've inspired a whole generation to believe that, you don't have to be scared if you're in love. But of course, now uh, I've changed my line before I sing that, and I said, this is for all the children and all the grown-ups who believe in love, and that you don't have to worry about it anymore. But I always add also that please, children, remember never to hurt your parents. And
You're always communicating with the audience,
yes,
like it's not like you've also, kind of like said like many times that it's not just about me singing and they listening. I want to communicate with my audience, you make them laugh, you make them cry,
yeah,
you had told me once that if I hadn't been a singer, I would have been a stand-up comedian. And you just kind of engage everybody, like they feel that they belong when they're listening to your music. They feel deeply connected to you. And I'm also saying this as a listener because I've had the honor to, it's like see you live and listen to your
yeah.
music. uh it's like there is a particular, element that just connects us to you. You
Yeah,
just
and
kind of,
there's another thing
there's
I'll
an embracing quotient there that you just kind of,
correct.
sort of like
All
we are in
embrace
your
it.
embrace when we are listening to you.
Correct.
So yeah.
Another thing I would like to especially talk to the youngsters today is that, nothing is so impossible that, you have to take drastic measures. And when you hear these days, somebody killing themselves, and, somebody, it's all very well to, see in the movies, or, anywhere else. I feel that kids today are, there's so much more opportunity for them to get depressed. Do you understand? And I'm wondering, why is that happening? Is there some signal that we are giving as grown-ups? We're giving the wrong signals to our children, or what? And then I get this terrific song which says, "Ye mat kaho khuda se meri mushkilein badi hain. Ye mushkilon se keh do mera khuda bada hai." And that's such an amazing line, really. I was given that song actually by the Brahma Kumaris, and it's such a fantastic thought that, don't think that there is nobody else without any problems. Everybody's got their
That's
own
something going
problems.
on.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you just have to carry on
Yeah.
and find. Oh, there is always a loophole. God always, if He gets you to it, He'll get you through it. That's for sure. I have no doubt about that. If He's got you to it, like like illness or family, that's another thing which I'm really scared about, which I also mentioned in the Hindi book, and I'm sure it's there. That I'm scared of, illness, more so illness for my loved ones and my friends. And I'm always worried about that. Always worried about that. But I face it head on. I face it head on because there is no other way. There is no other way. And if you've got to spread your, what shall I say, your lips and your cheeks and make it happy, you have to believe that there is a way out of this. And the only way to do it is to be able to put it aside and prioritize. I'm not quite sure how many children really today really put their priorities right. And I think that is so important without being a preacher or without having to send messages across. It's not necessary because you see, there is a lesson in every single day, every moment you will find a new message, if only you were willing to take it. A lesson, if only you were willing. Srishti, I want to ask you something. Do you think, I mean, since you are running the show, do you think there is do you think there are any people who want to ask any questions or what?
No, so we have a particular, sort of like structure to it. I just have like one more question to ask you. Then I'll do a bit of reading from the book, some
Oh,
excerpts,
lovely.
so that people get aware. But then maybe you can sing for a bit because
Okay.
it's like they should also get to hear you sing live, and then we can
Okay.
take a couple of questions from the
Is there
audience.
a chat
If you have
box,
any?
Suchetna?
So we'll ask audience to raise their hands and then they can unmute themselves and you can see them talking to you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So I
All right.
just so I'll just kind of ask my last question, and it's like little Usha wrote a letter to Frank Sinatra.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Let's just talk a bit about that, and then I will move to the reading after this.
You know, Srishti, at the time when I started singing, or just before that, my two elder sisters, Indira and Duma, were the original singing Sami sisters who used to sing only in English. And I thought that was such a fantastic thing. You know, people asked me whether I was inspired by them or whether I was inspired by Lataji Mangeshkar. I said, no, I never inspired by any of them. Nobody. Because my biggest inspiration was the radio. And I was in awe of them. I was in awe of my sisters, and I was in awe of Lataji Mangeshkar. Where's the question of being inspired? How could I ever dream of? Not that I wanted to sing for Meena Kumari or Madhubala or Nargis or anybody, but the whole idea of being in awe of somebody is something totally different, and what you can get from that is something totally different. And so I think. When we come to the fact that you are in a musical family and the whole milieu is totally different, I think I just wanted so badly for somebody outside of my Baikala and Bombay, and I just wanted some people to know that there is a musical family that loves English music, and we've been listening to radio. And so I used to sing, excuse me, I used to sing Frank Sinatra songs even as a little girl. And one of the songs I remember so clearly was, I mean, the song which I really was inspired was a song called For Once in My Life, I Have Someone Who Needs Me, Someone I've Needed So Long. Yeah. And there was another one which says, all of me, why not take all of me? Can't you see I'm no good without you? Take my arms, I want to lose them. Take my lips, I never use them. It's a beautiful words, yeah. And I heard, I mean, at that age to think of words and it was just too much. So I said, no, I can't let this go. I took a paper and pen holder, and I wrote, Dear Mr. Sinatra. I'm so and so. I'm Usha Sami, and I come from a very musical family. My sisters sing a lot of your songs, and I love your songs very much. Please, do you think you could reply to this letter? And I gave my address, okay, in Baikala. And I put it into an inland, one of those yellow envelopes. And I said, what address am I going to write? I
And you
wrote
put all kinds of stamps on the envelope.
stamps, because so
Whatever
many
you could
stamps. I
arrange,
thought,
you
okay,
put
maybe
all kinds
all
of
these,
stamp on the envelope.
because I didn't know how much it was going to cost. I didn't even know, except from the
You
geography that
spent your
I had
entire
learned.
pocket money just to buy
Yeah,
all kinds of
everything.
stamps.
And I wrote Frank Sinatra, USA. I don't even think I wrote USA. I just think I wrote America.
You wrote Frank
Was
Sinatra, New York, America. That was the difference.
something like that. And so that was a big, big thing for me. Really, it was such a fan moment for me. And I just thought, you never know, maybe he will reply. And till today, of course, now, of course, it's a dream unfulfilled. But I would really, really love to go. If somebody's listening, I'm sure they'll be able to arrange a show for me in Carnegie Hall, where my biggest inspiration used to perform. That is Harry Belafonte. I wish that I could get, get to do a
Let's
show
all
in.
wish it. Let's just manifest it. And it'll
Yes, let's do that.
happen. Let's do that. Okay. So I think I'll do a bit of reading from the book.
Oh, lovely.
Uh,
We've never had an opportunity to do that, no?
we have done it a few times, like different
Yeah, but
pages.
no, but not reading. Like, I love that. I love the fact that you're going to be reading from the book. It means such a lot, really.
Yeah. I want everybody to just take a look at the book. This is the book, and this is the wonderful cover that was done by Penguin India, on the Queen of Indian Pop.
But till today, tell me something, Srishti. I really don't know when people ask me. I really don't know who gave the name. Was it Penguin or
It's
was
the
it you?
writer. It's the writer.
You?
It's my father.
No, really?
Yeah. This
The
thing
Queen
was
of.
coined by him.
But why? I mean, Ulaski now was something so different.
No, but like if you actually look at the tagline of the thing, like right on top of the book. So if you actually translate that, it translates into the Queen of Indian Pop.
Too
मतलब
much. I
मतलब
didn't know
pop
it was
संगीत
Vikas
की
ji who did it.
महारानी,
Really
मतलब
tough.
भारतीय pop संगीत की महारानी, which
Oh,
is the
yeah.
Queen of Indian
Correct,
Pop.
correct, correct,
So
correct,
that
correct.
thing got translated,
Corrected.
and we all couldn't think of a better title for
Correct,
the
correct.
English book.
Pop,
The Queen
what
of
was it? कैसे उन्होंने कहा?
It's like भारतीय pop संगीत की महारानी. So
Correct.
it's the Queen of Indian Pop. So I
Yes.
think we all went with, sort of rather than, kind of calling it Call of Joy or Boat of Joy or something, we
Yeah.
kind of like, like the Queen of Indian Pop, like it just hit the right spot.
Yeah.
We all just agreed to it that, yeah, there can't be a better title than that for the.
Because many people have asked me that, and when they announce me or something like that, and they've done it before as well. Introduce
It
me
was
like that, but it
it was
never
the
had the
writer.
same meaning.
It was
You
the
know,
writer. It was my
No, I'm saying it never had the same meaning. Like many people have introduced me 10 years ago
Yeah,
saying,
because languages are, kind of, it's like the essence,
correct.
the feel of it changes. Like Ulaski now, how it sounds in Hindi, if we just translate it, it's just, sort of boat of joy. It doesn't really hit the chord. So I think all languages, they have their own sort of ways, Hindi
Their
has
own
its own
musicality.
beauty, English has its own stature, Urdu has its own nazakat. So I think, sort of like different languages, they kind of have a different lyrical sort of like tonality to them. So I guess it's because of
Yes.
that. So I'll be reading from the first chapter of the book. It's called The Kite Flying Girl. This is about Usha ji coming into the world. It's the inception. It's where it all began. It was a moment of wondrous amusement. The lady doctor at Dr. Patrao Nursing Home was amazed beyond belief. The strikingly tall and slender Meenambal Sami reached the nursing home on Lamington Road in South Bombay, trying to camouflage the pain in her eyes, her lips in a tight line, and there was no time to ask her any questions. It was a pleasant autumn afternoon in the beginning of November. The doctor immediately ordered the nurses to take her to the delivery room. One of the nurses, recognizing Meenambal, said, "She lives in Mehervilla, right across the road. She's the wife of Someshwar Sami, the police officer." After the delivery, when Meenambal regained a little strength, she gazed at the newborn baby next to her. The nurse smiled and told her, "You've had a You've had a beautiful baby girl. She's very naughty. She was kicking desperately to come out. She didn't even give us any time to call anyone." Meenambal's lips turned upwards into an overwhelmed, exhausted mother's smile. A few hours later, on Meenambal's request, the nursing home's vehicle dropped her back to Mehervilla across the road. While seeing her off, the lady doctor, with utmost adoration, said to Minambal, I've heard a lot about your husband's valor, but today I got to see how brave his wife is as well. It was the evening of November 8, 1947. Vaidyanath Someshwar Sami was speechless when he reached home. He almost couldn't believe how brave Minambal had been with the delivery this time. When she was pregnant for the first time, as per tradition, she went to her parents' house in Pune. At that time, Minambal's father, Halase K. Nathan, was an engineer with the Public Development Department. Minambal's first child, Indira, aka Indu, was born there. Their second daughter, Uma, was born in Bombay. After Indira and Uma, two brothers, Shyam Sundar and Tyagraj, were also born in Bombay. For her fifth child's delivery, Minambal was comfortably in Bombay. She didn't go to her parents this time. Lying in bed, Minambal looked at her newborn daughter, virtually caressing her with her eyes. The little girl lying next to her would cry at times and then suddenly blossom with laughter. As the days passed, Minambal noticed that when the little girl smiled, dimples appeared on her cheeks. When Minambal's mother, Dharmambal, aka Madras Patima, saw the baby girl for the first time, she took the child in her arms and said, She is Usha. Her smile is like a beautiful morning. All the magic then was in Usha's dimples. Over time, her family members realized that she was different. At home or at school, Usha had the image of a carefree, tomboyish girl who was always busy with toy spindles and flying kites. She played cricket, badminton, hututu, gilli danta, seven tiles, and police thief, among others. And when she was bored of playing, she would be found lying with her head on a pillow, reading comic books under the dense branches of the guava tree in the Meher Villa courtyard.
Lovely. Why don't you read the whole book to me?
I will one day, I will.
You do that.
Yeah, yeah. Do I do a bit of more reading or shall we continue with Usha ji singing? And then
I
we
think
have questions.
I think we would love to hear the book, but we would love it more
Let's do
for her
that, and everybody should
to
actually get the
sing.
book
Yeah,
and read it.
yeah,
It
yeah.
has lovely stories. This is not only, like the life of this amazing, amazing, wonderful superstar icon. This is the journey of a woman who just paved the way for, it's like generations ahead of her. It's like, women like me, women like you, that anything is possible. And if you have it in you, and if you have a vision, if you have a dream, you don't need anybody else to fulfill it. It's just you that is needed. You should believe in yourself. So yeah, she's
Please
a
read
woman
it. Please
who,
tell everybody to
yes,
read it,
please, please,
Srishti.
please get the book, read it. You just have a wonderful time. And yeah.
And please, can you and I say it together? Please ask Penguin to fill all the airport stores with the books, because nobody is, every time they tell me, book to
Really, books are sold
millionaire.
out. I think they have to kind of print more books, I guess.
No, we have to get that happening. I don't know
Yeah.
why. It's so sad. And, I feel
We'll have
really
this
sad.
conversation with them. Yeah,
Yes,
I
let's
think
just.
copies are over. So I guess that's the reason. Or I don't know what's
No, but
happening, but
isn't that the really strange that I go to, the States, and,
yeah.
people are handing me their copies of book to sign, and they say to me, I mean, why wouldn't Penguin send some books over here? You know, that
We'll
would,
have this conversation with them.
we'll
And
do
now
that.
let's just get the music started.
Okay. I also wanted to say, Srishti, that if we had, through Symbiosis, if we had a workshop, like, it would be so wonderful to hear from you how you would take, say, a paragraph or 10, 10 pages together or 2 pages together in Hindi. Because, for any translator, I mean, I wanted to say this to the youngsters today, that if you want to be a person who is translating very well, then you have to have a command over both the languages.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Without that, it wouldn't work. And so, even for me, I would love to know. So, if we had, I mean, if Symbiosis did a workshop on how to write or how to translate, I would love to know whether you take 2 pages together and get the essence of that and then write, because I've done songs like that of Rabindranath Tagore's, which I take the whole essence into my head and then try to fit in, verse by verse, because without that, it doesn't happen.
Yeah. I would like to speak a bit about my process. So I have been a part of the Hindi book as well in terms of the journey. Like I would listen
Yeah.
to the chapters, he would share anecdotes with me. And so, and also, I've been familiar with his style, it's like with his writing style, because, it's like I grew up in that house and he would always kind of
Yes.
keep anything, because it's like a very journalistic, sort of like literature background that, like I
Correct.
come from. So when I looked at the book and I was familiar with his, sort of language and the ornate, sort of the lyrical tone to his language. So the most important thing for me as a translator was that I also want the English reader to, sort of like to get the book in the right way, like the way a Hindi reader would enjoy it. So I didn't want the English reader to be left out. So the idea was that to, sort of like to translate it from Hindi to English without, kind of like, sort of like without disturbing the
Lost in
structure, without
translation.
taking away the essence. It's like I had to keep his essence intact. There's a bit of me also in that, because
Of
he writes
course.
in Hindi, I write in English, but Hindi is also, one of my strengths. So at times, like when I'm thinking, at times I'm thinking in Hindi, at times I'm thinking in English.
Yes.
And then, it's like, so the idea was that I cannot, it's like I cannot deprive the English reader of the beauty, the way this, the way this artist, the way this, it's like woman has been written about. So, it's like the key thing was just to keep it the way it is. And then, it's like a bit of my fragrance can just be across the book. But, it's like people should actually get to read the way Vikas Kumar Jha has written about Usha.
Yes. That
Every
is
word,
so
every,
important.
it's like every literary device, every expression, every metaphor, it should just be as it is. Because I felt while translating, it's a, it's not like something, like I think it's a bigger sort of like a, it's like you have a bigger purpose to yourself when you're translating languages.
Sure.
I don't know how many translators are there, because if, say if not for translators, say we wouldn't have any kind of access to like Russian literature, or,
No, of course not.
say all kinds of languages
What
that
about
are around the
even
world.
a bestseller like Alchemist? I mean, we
Yeah,
would never have read it.
be it Spanish, be it Russian, like
Amazing.
all kinds of languages, we wouldn't have, it's like had the privilege to read, like in Bihar when I was growing up, I was a little, it's like I was quite young, and I had access to, it's like Russian literature in English and in Hindi. It was a very strange thing.
Wow.
It's like I've read Tolstoy or a Dostoevsky, or, it's like, or a Pushkin or a Gogol, like I had Hindi and English both. So,
My
it's
God.
like the kind of switch that happens with language, because now you
That's
have AI,
fantastic.
now you have Google Translate, there are all these tools. And, people speak of translation as something, yeah, you just kind of like put a page, just kind of copy
No,
paste,
that's why I
they
wanted you to
translate,
talk
just
about the
go to the.
process.
I literally went from sentence to sentence, and it's important to do that because you owe it to the book, you owe it to the hard work of the writer.
Absolutely.
Lot of research, a lot of stuff. I did my own bit of research. You and I had like separate conversations,
Yes.
because the expressions change when it's Hindi, when it's English. If we are writing about something very personal, if we are writing about something very sensitive, we also have to see that, if the shift is happening correctly, because just
Correctly.
kind of a
Absolutely.
plain straight translation is not going to work.
No,
It
no.
can completely
Literal
change the meaning.
translation cannot.
As we say in Hindi, ki arth ka anarth, it just takes a word to completely
Correct.
destroy the meaning of something. Earth becomes unearth. So,
Correct.
things like that.
That
So
way.
my key thing was that an English reader should just feel the essence and get the essence the way it is in the Hindi book. So it was my priority, and translation is something you don't really do it for some kind of fame or whatever, because you are translating somebody else's work.
But
Like
I
he's my
sometimes feel
father, but
that's a
still,
bigger job.
writers are very selfish people, is what I believe. Because it's like, as my father says, that you can give somebody your blood, you can give somebody your time, but if you give somebody your ink, that matters, because
Yeah,
it's a very whatever. So yeah, that was my journey,
Yeah.
and that's what, and the idea that you've spoken about, I mean, Didi, we can have a separate conversation with Suchetna on this.
right.
I think it would be wonderful,
Absolutely.
and I would love to share this with others,
Absolutely.
because
Others.
it's an experience,
It is an
it
experience.
changes you. Like,
But I tell
even
you
me
something.
also.
It's a bigger job to be a good translator.
Like
Much,
first
much
page,
bigger.
you know, like it's about 350 pages. When I started the first page, and when I was on my last page, I was doing it at 4 a.m. in the morning, and I finished it on a whatever in like what, like 3 to 5 months or something, you know, sort of constantly working on it every day. It seems like a mountain top. Like, how will I, like, it was my Everest. But
Srishti, I feel your pain because
one day at a time,
I'm
one day at a
currently
time.
no, I'm currently translating an actor's biography, so I feel your pain as well.
Yes.
But
I just feel,
it's something, like, you just have to
yeah,
get through it, and then it just
right.
happens. Like, even, you know, it's like even today, I keep telling everybody, every time I pick this book up, I just do this. I just keep it because I cannot
That you did
believe
it.
50 pages of it.
I
How
hate
it
to,
happened.
I
How
hate
it
to
happened, I have no
interrupt
idea.
this very, very exciting moment of the conversation, but the time of the
I know I
session
should
is
have
Let's
brought it up
just
earlier.
listen
close.
to some
Yes,
music.
let's listen to Ushaji, and we have one or two questions from the students, which I'm sure she would love to take.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
I'm so sorry for not raising my hand. The feature was not available for me.
All right.
Good afternoon. My name is Zui Gaikwad. I am a third year student at Symbiosis School for Liberal Arts. Usha ma'am, I had a question for you.
Yes.
So these days, artists that have voices or styles that are not conventional often face the risk of typecasting or getting similar opportunities over and over.
All the
Based
time.
on, based on your own experiences as well as those of others, how would you respond to it? What would you have to say
Yes,
about it?
it's true. You get typecast. And I got typecast very easily because my first song was, one of my first songs was a cabaret show, an item song, if one calls it an item song. And ever since that time, whether it was Shan or Hari Om Hari or One Two Cha Cha Cha, they always wanted me to sing like that song because that became a big hit. So I was always typecast as a girl who did not get first of all, the heroine's song. Okay, the leading lady always had to be, Lata Ji Mangeshkar, or Asha Bhosle, or somebody with a high pitched voice like that. Okay, not with a voice like mine. And in fact, it was Javed Akhtar ji who said so fantastically, so spontaneously in one interview with Anupam Kher. When Anupam Kher asked me, he said, Usha ji, why is it you didn't get more songs in the Hindi films? And without even thinking twice, because I'm sure he must have thought about it quite a bit, Javed Akhtar ji said, क्योंकि the Indian film or the Indian psyche cannot accept that a woman's voice can be powerful or stronger than a man.
So beautiful.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? So amazing. And he said that is what really made it so different for you. And that's why she didn't get so many chances because they cannot. It has to be delicate. It has to be like then I said, then what about people like Begum Akhtar? Or what about people like Reshma ji? What about people like Geeta Dutt? I mean, we all have low bass voices, right? And people like Kajol, then Rani Mukherjee, Tanuja, Shabana Azmi ji, they all wanted me to sing for them. I did sing for Shabana Azmi actually in the film Godmother. But you get typecast, that's all. Don't be sad, don't be udas, ho gayi baat. Typecast to ho hi gaye. Usme kya hua? I still sing Bindiya chamkegi, Chudi khankegi. I still sing those songs. So it doesn't matter. But you do get typecast, yes, 100%. 100%.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. You're a Gaikwad, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Zui. Next up is Shioli Banerjee.
Hi, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Ma'am, this is sort of a joint question, and I wanted to know more about the kind of conversations that took place behind the creation of this biography. And I know that you've shared many of these conversations with us already. And I'm sure that there have been many interesting experiences that you would have, shared with, Vivek, Mr. Vivek, and with Ms. Srishti while creating this biography. What I'm curious about, though, is the thought process behind deciding what made it to the final text and what didn't, and perhaps what sort of role you also played in that decision making.
Me, my God, I never even thought about all these intelligent things that you're asking
Everything
me.
made it to the text.
I know.
Everything is there. And see, the idea was because, it's like I'll speak on his behalf because I've been a part of the journey. Mr. Vikas Kumar Jha, who's the writer of the book. The thing is that, when you're writing about a person's life, um, it shouldn't just, like he was very clear with Usha ji that it shouldn't just be like, like you're just kind of praising a goddess. She's so amazing, she's so wonderful, she's so this, she's so that. Everything that makes her, there's also the story of her family, because, it's like all the elements, all the people in her life, all the experiences that she had, all the yeses, all the nos, everything that made Usha Uthup that she is today, and she's been for, like a really, really long time. That, like across generations, people are her fans and they love her. And she's a very young person at heart. She'll interact with everybody. She'll make you feel so absolutely comfortable. She will make you believe in art and music and craft. And, it's like the whole act of perseverance. So a lot has gone into the book. It's a very overwhelming, experience for a writer and the subject, that as to, it's like what should we keep and what should we leave out. But I guess more or less everything is there. And, it's like for the rest, we'll have to do another book on Usha ji because it's never enough. It's never enough. You should actually, just like read the book, and we can actually have a conversation about this some other time. We can, say Suchetna will connect us.
Yeah.
And I'd love to talk about this with you someday. But yeah, that's what it is, that we all try to put in, like squeeze in a lot into it, but to capture this amazing life, one book is in a way enough, but not enough also. But
Not enough.
This has more or less everything. It covers everything. It covers the map, covers everything in a way.
Yes, actually it does. Actually it
Gives
does.
you the glimpse of, each and every window into the house. So yes.
Thank you so much. And I think even what Usha ji was saying about, that workshop that we could perhaps have sounded so fascinating to me as an idea.
Wonderful idea. Suchetna, please let's do it.
I will. We'll talk about this, Shuli and Srishti. For
She's
paucity
also
of time,
translating right now. I have translated already. It would be a wonderful conversation.
Right, we will.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Shuli.
Thank you.
I have time to take one more question because I have to hear Usha Uthup sing. So,
But is that person giving me an idea what to do?
yes, it's in your chat box, ma'am. If you can just read your message in the chat box of the Zoom
God.
call.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi. First of all, a very good evening, and thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. And listening to you, and as someone who would like to get into the performing arts, many of them for now, I was flabbergasted by your, the fact that you have performed and learned so many forms like rock and pop and other forms as well, and across languages as well, right? I feel that just exemplifies an artist's passion and desire to just keep learning and
Yes.
keep developing and keep exploring. But you yourself mentioned that it can be difficult and it can be challenging, and your advice to the younger generation, as well as this, your suggestion, just keep at it. But how do we as artists, and I not that we as artists, but how do artists in general keep themselves motivated? Could you suggest something, or what are your thoughts on
I
that?
think there's no question of suggestion. There is only a question of do. You have to do it. It's not just a suggestion. If you really, really want to, pursue your career in music or in the performing arts, I think most importantly, you know that you've got it or you don't, right? Whether you're learning and you're studying for it, amazing. If you get an opportunity to study music, if we're talking about music, then just go right ahead and learn. I think in every step you will find more and more that you have to learn, like I'm finding more and more to learn every moment, even talking to all of you just now. And without this kind of platform, it's not easy, really, not at all easy. You have to be able to be a receptacle to get in everything what people are saying, and good or bad. I mean, whether people like it or they don't like it. But I tell you something. I mean, when I say it's hard work, like where are you from? Where are you?
I am from all over the place, but let's just say Kerala. I'm from Kottayam.
Okay, my God, are you from Kottayam? We are also from
Yes, sir.
Kottayam. Okay,
I know
now
that.
if I were to sing a Malayalam song, okay, now let me tell you, people like Kumar Shanu and Udita, they, when I asked Kumar Shanu whether he would sing a song for, a devotional song, he said, "Bhai, koi bhi language mujhe de do, lekin Malayalam de mat dena." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because they all laugh, pariyasam, everybody, actually when, you know, if people are making an effort to learn your language, then you need that people to be happy about it. Well, like in Bengali, if you come and you say "Ami tumake bhalobashi," in whatever way, whatever accent you say it, or if a German speaks in, we all appreciate it that there's an effort. But the problem with Malayalam is that it is so intricate, and it is the most difficult language to sing. And I'll tell you why. Because the letter N has got three. Okay, there is a na, there's a na, and there's a na. Okay, now every language doesn't have that. For the letter R, there is a royal, there is a ra, sari, like that. Okay, there are two. And for T, there is a pa, ta, t, and there is a ta. Okay, now everybody in the world, why should they know it? Why should they know it? They're only making an effort, right? They're making an effort to sing to sing your language. So what did I do? I looked in the mirror and I found out why people were laughing when I said onna for onna instead of saying onna. Then I realized that you have to put your tongue in between the teeth and say onna. So I learned it all the hard way. So if I had to say, uh, you know, uh, നീ മധുപകരു മലർ ചൊരിയു അനുരാഗ പൗർണമിയേ. So I had to say ni. If I said ni, everybody would laugh. So I learned it. But it's hard work. So if you really love language, and I'm a people's person, if you really love people, then you will take the trouble to learn and say ni madhupagaru മലർ ചൊരിയൂ അനുരാഗ പൗർണമിയേ നീ മായല്ലേ മറയല്ലേ നീല നിലാവൊളിയേ. Right? Do I get a hand for that? Do I get a hand for that? Yeah. So it's hard work. You have to learn how to pronounce, most importantly. And I think if you are born Indian, you're born with an advantage of 17 Indian languages. So you must make use of it. You must. So if you know Marathi already, then to speak Oriya is easy because there's a lot of in that, And if you want to learn, if you want to speak or sing in Assamese, then you have to know a little bit of Bengali because then that will help you. Yeah, so it's important that you learn the different, and for me, it's easy to get by expressions. So if somebody asks me, "Tumi Bangla jano?" and I say, "Ha," oh, she's Bengali. The way you say, "Ha," somebody asks you, "Malayalam areo," and I say, "Pinna," and the way you say it. So you've got to first learn the expressions and the nuances of the languages, and then work on it really hard. I make about 5 drafts before I really sing a song. And that's very, very important. At least 5. I write it myself. And then I sing it, even if it's in Hindi or even if it's in English. So it's important for that. Oh, you're back again. There's your video. Yeah. So for the youngsters, I would say hang in there and be serious about what you really want to do with your music or your whatever your performing arts are, whatever you want to do. If you really want to get across to people, you've got to touch their heart before anything else.
May I make a request? Is apni khali golay gan gan? That's in Bangla, just to say.
Kono mane hai.
Kono mane hoy na, kintu ge felin.
Okay. Oh, what shall I sing in Bangla? I have a beautiful song in Bengali, which I wanted to sing for all of you today, is Mon Majire by Arijit, which all of you would have loved so much. But I will sing যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে, যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে, তবে একলা চলো রে, তবে একলা চলো, একলা চলো, একলা চলো, একলা চলো রে, যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে, তবে একলা চলো রে. That I think is the story of all our lives. It doesn't matter if nobody is listening or nobody, you make them do it. Yeah. You walk. Once you start walking, people will walk with you. Don't worry about it.
Thank you very much, Usha, Uthup, and Srishti Jha, for this
Now, let me say one line
fascinating.
which is important in my life, which has become an important part of my life, is दोस्तों से प्यार किया, सिम्बायोसिस से बहुत प्यार किया, जो भी किया हमने किया शान से. Yes, whatever you do it shan se. Otherwise, don't even try to attempt it. It's not worth it. You have to make it happen really big. Otherwise, it doesn't. And I keep saying, keep dreaming. Dream big, because if you don't have a dream, how will you make it come true? On that happy note.
Thank you very much, Usha, Uthup. Thank you, Srishti Jha, for
Thank
this
you so much,
wonderful,
Vika, for having
wonderful.
us. And it was a wonderful session. We had a great time, a lot of conversations. And
Right.
I hope we take Usha ji's dreams and visions that she has mentioned to, sort of like in terms of like, make it happen about the
Yeah,
trans.
please don't forget the
Do
workshop,
that. We will
Srishti.
do that someday.
No, we will not. We will not. Thank you for the music, Usha, Uthup, and we will walk with your music for
So
sure.
I say thank you for the music, for giving it to me. Yeah, thank you, God.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We
Oh, let
move.
me tell you, my granddaughter was in Symbiosis.
Yes,
and,
she was our student. We have
yes.
taught her. Yes.
And
How
she's a
lovely.
very proud Symbiosis student as well.
It's a
Right.
wonderful college. Yeah,
I know, wish we had gone there, but we are there now.
we are there.
Thank
So
you
here's
very
to the
much.
next workshop.
Yes, ma'am. We will get
By
in
then
touch
we'll
with
get
you.
the music also readied.
Absolutely. Without fail. Without fail. Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. Bye.
Good.